Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Welcome back after a very long sabbatical to the TED Show. We took a little time off, got some things tweaked. We're really excited for 2024. I know I am, and we're all excited here. We want to deliver some amazing guests to you, and we're going to kick it off with Paty Johnston. She is a procrastination and ADHD life coach, and we're going to teach you today, or at least give you some tips on how to stop procrastinating in 30 days. So you're not going to want to put this off like you normally do. You're going to listen to Paty. You want to hear her journey, and she's going to give you some tips and tricks to accomplish that. Paty, we did it. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Yay! I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much, Ted. Hello, everyone. It's just a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Well, I'm so excited. You have to follow her on LinkedIn. You have to follow Paty on LinkedIn. You've got to really check out what she does because she's got that energy. And so imagine having that energy poured into you on a regular basis as your coach. So before we get to all of that, though, the audience always loves to know how you got here. So give us a little background on you and how you became a life coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So I teach about procrastination because I was born a procrastinator. My favorite word used to be mañana. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, next week. No, next year. Like every single year, my New Year's resolutions were the same because I wouldn't make it happen. So there was a point that I thought there was something really wrong with me. Like my parents are very disciplined, very systematic, very clean. And my sister, she thinks she's perfect, but she's not perfect. She's almost perfect. And me, I was like the opposite. I was super disorganized. I would very brain scatter, and I would say I would do something and I wouldn't do it. So my dad, who's a great guy and he's a good dad, but back then he didn't know any better. He was like, Paty, you're such a mess. I don't see a future for you. I hope you get a good husband someday. So I grew up thinking there was something really wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I decided to do something about it. And on top of it all, I got pregnant when I was a teenager. I was really, really young. So my parents were like, oh, now you've ruined your life, Paty. What are you going to do? So I started deciding that I needed to change. Something needed to change. I discovered that I had ADD, very high ADD, attention deficit disorder. And I couldn't deal with the medicine. So I decided to create a system that would help me take action. And I realized that a lot of my lack of action would come from my negative emotions, mainly fear or anxiety or overwhelm. So if I had a lot to do, I would do nothing. And I started studying, and my background is both in business and psychology. So I started studying about emotional intelligence. And I created a system that started working. So I went from Colombia. You might notice I have an accent. So I went from Colombia to the US as a single mom. My son just was 3 years old. And I decided to create a system that worked for me. I founded my first business. I only had $2,000. And I created, a business out of nothing. And I sold it for $500,000.
Wow.
18 months later, I couldn't believe
Where does that drive come from? I mean, I know it's interesting because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about ADD and ADHD.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you had an internal drive that was also really the captain of that ship.
You say that, but even though I had that drive, I was really scared at some point. Yeah. So I had a lot of dreams. Like, oh, someday I would like to have my own company. Someday I would like to work and help people. Someday I would like to travel the world. So yeah, it was like this big desire. And I knew that I had this much potential, but I was not even in 40% out of it. Yes. Like I knew that I could, but I was not taking action. I was not doing it. And it was then when I started digging a little deeper. And I don't know you, Ted, but I didn't have the perfect family. And a lot of the things that I experienced when I was growing up were still affecting me and
Sure.
my decisions or lack of decisions or action. So, yes, I had like a little fire within me, but I had to find it and make it happen because
Let me ask you about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
no,
ahead.
that's okay. No, dreams are beautiful, but if there's no action, there's nothing.
No action. So let's talk a little bit about the emotional intelligence part, because
Yes.
that's one of those catchphrases, those buzz
Yeah.
phrases that people throw around. And I'm never really, I know what it means to me, but what does it mean when you're talking about it in your work, in your business, in your procrastination coaching life?
Yeah. So basically, emotional intelligence is divided in four. The first part is about self awareness, to know what we're feeling. So most of us, or that at least that's how I used to be, I was happy, I was sad, I was tired, I was angry. And that was it. And I was never aware that there's like hundreds of emotions behind the main ones that was really affecting me. So the first part of emotional intelligence is awareness of emotions. How do I feel in the mornings? How do I feel in the afternoon? How do I feel when somebody criticizes me or when I feel that there's something wrong? So awareness of emotions. The second part, which is key, is not only to be aware, but to regulate the emotions. So
Interesting.
not only I feel upset when somebody says something about me, but what do I do with that? Do I stay there feeling bad about me and then shutting everyone out of my life and doing nothing? Or do I learn to regulate the good and the bad? So my life used to be like, oh, happy, sad, angry. And now I learned to regulate it. So it's not, my
Fantastic.
life is not depending on my emotions, but the other way.
So
So
good.
awareness of emotions, regulation of emotions, and the other two parts are related to others. So being aware of somebody else's emotions and how to actually interact with the emotions of somebody else. So that's what emotional intelligence is about. And so I combine it with why. Why do I know what to do and I'm not doing it? And it's basically going back to what are
Yes,
the emotions behind it. Because we know what to do. It's
we
not like
do.
we don't
We
know.
do. We talk about this all the time on the show. We all know intrinsically what to do. We
Yes.
know what the problem is and how to fix it.
Yes.
We really do, but we just we hit our own wall. We create our own wall.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing, like what I talk about is very different because you hear a lot of, oh, just buy a planner or do a to-do list or like the New Year's resolutions. That will not take place if you feel angry, if you feel overwhelmed, if you're hurt, if you're depressed. So the only and better reason to be able to change is to actually find the root of the problem. And most of the procrastination problems come from emotions, negative emotions. So that's the key. That's where to start.
So you fix yourself, or you're a work in progress. We all were, but you work
Yes.
on fixing what your challenges are. That's one
Right.
thing. Then taking it and making it a business, making it your life work. What was the process there? How did that go? Because a lot of us have ideas, and we do something, or we're afraid. This goes back to procrastination, I guess. But
Yeah.
how did you get over that hump and decide this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to help people while I'm doing it?
Yeah. So the first business that I sold that I did really well, I was more surprised than anyone else. I was like, oh my goodness, this worked. So I opened a second business. And the second business, I actually was able to sell it for millions, a lot of money. And I'm going to tell you something funny. My dad, who always was like, oh, Patty, what's wrong with you? When I sold my second business, he said, Patty, I've always believed in you. And I'm like, no, Dad, you didn't.
You did not.
uh, but anyway, in the second business, a lot of people started coming to me. It's like, oh, you're doing something right. What is it? Would you show me? So initially, and we were talking about this before, I started sharing my knowledge with people. And then every time I did, they will start succeeding, like doubling their income or losing the weight or getting better at relationships. And I was like, oh my goodness, this works. So I started saying, okay, if you double your income, you'll give me a part of that, or
Yeah.
percentage of that. And then little by little, I started seeing not only a transformation on themselves, but for me, like my life started becoming better and better every time I saw anyone getting transformed. So that's how it started. And then, in spite of the doubts of like, oh, who am I? Or what do I do? How do I say people what to do? I discovered that I just don't have to tell people what to do. They know what to do. I just facilitate it.
Sometimes
So
that's
that,
what we need, right? That's why coaches are so important in general in
yeah,
your life and business, because we know what to do, but we really do need that person over our shoulder,
yeah,
encouraging us, continue to open our eyes. Uh,
yeah,
we all have struggled with that, I'm sure.
yeah, absolutely. And it's just nice to have somebody else from the outside asking you the right questions.
Correct. Correct.
How are you feeling about this? Why did you make that decision? So it's funny because I have a program. It's an online program, and it typically takes like 30 minutes a day for people to work on their stuff. And I got a client a few months ago, and she's like, Patty, you lied to me about the program. I'm like, oh my goodness, what? And she said, you lied to me. You lied to me. I'm like, oh, please tell me what I said. She said, you said I was going to take like 30 minutes a day to do this, but I'm thinking about it day and night.
Mhm.
Why did I say this? Why did I do this? Why did I make this decision? And that is it. It's just self awareness.
I was going to say she became self-aware.
Yes, that's it. And being intentional.
Intention.
So I used to feel that life was living me instead of me living life.
I think we all have felt that before. Yeah, that's a big one, right?
Yeah, yes.
We
Another week, and where did it go? I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing.
we have all felt
So,
that.
yes. So being
Tell me about
intentional.
tell me
Right.
about the tell me about your sorry, we're a little delayed, so I'm not trying to cut you off.
That's okay.
Tell me about how to stop procrastinating in 30 days. Obviously, I don't want you to give away all your secrets because I want people to go to patyjohnston.com and find out more. But talk about that, because I think even if you're a procrastinator, even looking at that sentence, you probably got stressed out. You probably were like, oh my God, 30 days.
That's me. Yes.
So overwhelming. What can I do right now? So, can you share just some little bit of tip or two about some
Yeah.
things that you would like to challenge people to do so that they can start thinking about it before they reach out to you?
100%. I'm actually gonna tell you my secrets, okay, on how to stop
Good.
procrastinating.
Love it.
Okay, first secret is you need to be honest. You need to be honest with yourself and say, I get so many people like, oh, Patty is bad, but it's not that bad. Ah, I'm surviving. No, you need to stop and say, this is really affecting my life. This is really not the way I want to live. So I need to change. Be honest. Second, you need to find the real reason behind the procrastination. It's not about calendars or planners. It's to find the why inside. What is triggering me to not do what I'm supposed to be doing? Uh, and that goes to my second secret, which is third in this case, which is emotional intelligence. To be able to find the why, you need to start studying about emotional intelligence on yourself. And last, look for a coach. Look for a coach. I have a coach. A coach that doesn't have a coach is not the best coach.
They're not practicing what they preach, that's for sure.
Exactly. You need to find somebody with enough knowledge to guide you and to find the why and increase your emotional intelligence. So those are
I love
my
it.
Yes, my secrets on how to change, and it can be changed in 30 days.
Because procrastination can be paralyzing. So you
Ah,
get stuck and you stay in that same rut over and over and
yeah,
over again,
yeah,
knowing,
yeah,
like you said, that you could be and you should be doing something, and you actually probably know how to do it, but
yeah.
you have to revisit the why. You have to dig deeper. And for a lot of people, it's one reason they don't go to therapy either. They don't want to
Right.
dig deeper. And yet they will go their entire lives wondering
Yeah,
why the life that they dreamed about never
yeah.
transpired. And so I,
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of people are in that stuck mode, but I feel like a lot of people, because of the online presence and because of people like you and the coaching online, more and more people have access,
Yeah.
and you've made it easier to come to them instead of
Yeah.
you coming to them. And so I just think it's a beautiful thing what you do. And I feel like procrastination is one of the biggest killers of dreams,
Yeah.
businesses, relationships, you name it. It
Health.
will hurt us all.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it's paralyzing, and it's a downward spiral.
Yes.
Because when you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, you feel bad about yourself. And because you feel bad about yourself, then you do less and less and less. So there's hope.
Yes.
Honesty is the
Oh,
first step. Yes, and I that's what I love to do, what I do, seeing people
so
change.
tell them, now that they've listened to you and you see how wonderful she is, tell them how they can find out more about you, reach out to you. What's the best way, Paty?
Absolutely. So I love direct contact with my people, especially for somebody like the audience that you have. So if you want to find, by the way, there are 5 styles of procrastination. So if you want to find what your style is and what the cure for that specific style is, I am very happy to have a chat with you at no cost. So you can text me at 813-789-1097, 813-789-1097 if you're in the US. If you're outside the US, you can WhatsApp me at that same number, +1 813-789-1097. You can look me up on LinkedIn, Paty Johnston Coach, or you can go to my website, stopprocrastinatingtoday.com.
Nice.
Stopprocrastinatingtoday.com.
We'll put that one in the comments below. What a joy to have you on. See, I'm motivated, right? This is why coaches are good.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, Ted, because I've had, true confession, I'm very honest on this show. I had a day or two last week where I was so overwhelmed because I had put things off that I
Yeah.
didn't want to do any of it. Like
Yes.
I just was like, okay, I'm not going to get anything done. So guess
Yep.
what? In my brain, I'm not going to do any of it. And
Yeah.
that's that cycle we get ourselves in. And it's, you
100%.
just have to take that first step. And that's what I did. I did some meditation, did some breathing, picked out
Yes.
the easiest thing I could accomplish.
Yes.
And then I felt better and I started going. So we all go through it. And
Yeah,
for those of
absolutely.
you who are interested in a coach, you definitely need to reach out to Paty. Thank you so much for being on the show. You're such a joy.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you so much for having me here. Reach out. I'm here to help. So I hope to hear from lots of people.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Don't procrastinate anymore. Stop procrastinating today.
Yes.